What up, though? This is Rob. Just want to let you guys know that we are doing a special Halloween event where we're going to be playing Dead by Daylight with all of you guys. First things first, you should join our Discord. Link is in the description. But what we're going to do is we're going to get us three and potentially Hot Kyle to join in to be our fourth, and then we're going to let you guys hunt us down as the killers in Dead by Daylight. So be sure to be on the lookout for more information. It's all on our socials. We have it posted. And once again, join our Discord for all the final information and where to join us, but we hope to see you there. Peace. Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and joined with me are our friends Mike.
Hey-o.
And Lou.
Oh, hey? Is that the opposite of hey-ho? Hey-ho? Oh, hey?
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey?
All right, and this week we still are going strong in the survival pool. Only my father-in-law and then some other person that joined are the two survivors. We're going to see who runs out of being able to pick the Panthers to lose each week, but at some point one of them has to run out. We'll see, but other than that, we can start off each week with an icebreaker question. And this week I want to know, what's your favorite question to ask someone to get to know them better?
Ooh.
I know Hot Kyle's is always, what do you love most about yourself? But
that is my go-to. I don't, for the most part, like to get to know people, but if I have to, that's one of my favorites.
For me, it kind of depends. There's one that I really love, but it's very it's a very weird question and disarming in a sense. You're like, who is this guy? He's really weird. But it's a hypothetical situation. It's you and your friends are flying. You crash land on a desert island. There's no food, but you're the first one to die. And then magically, a full kitchen appears out of nowhere. How would you want to be cooked so your friends can survive? And I think that just tells you a lot about a person and how they think. You know, I think jerky's the best way because then you're going to get the most bang for your buck from me, and it's going to last the longest. But a lot of people come up with very interesting
there's certain
answers.
cuts that I would do jerky, but like, I mean, first of all, this should have been the icebreaker question. This is one of my favorite questions.
All right,
of all
what's
time.
your answer?
I would want to be sous vide personally.
I should have known that. I should have guessed it as soon as this dude got Suki stock.
And in fact, this should just be the question we ask all of our first-time guests coming on the podcast from now on.
We'll see if they listen to the pod. We can tell how ready they are, how revolted by the question they are.
All right.
How about you, Lou? How would you want to be prepared?
I'm cooking myself.
No, you're dead. You're dead, and you're the only food they have.
Oh, and I have the instructions of how I want to be cooked.
Yeah.
How many calories is in a body? Like, how many calories is in a human
I think it
body?
depends on how big the body is.
That's true. That's a good point. How many calories is
Oh gosh,
in a
you're gonna get put on some
300-pound
list if you're googling this.
No, I'm not googling it. I almost said the really bad word. The intern is the one that you're having sex with is
Whoa.
googling it.
I did not have sexual relations with any interns.
That's not what you told me, but whatever. It's all about what 100 pounds eat. Okay, I can't find this. Wait, how many pounds?
Reminder that we are live.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're gonna have to.
At least with me, you'd get a lot of good marbling. Like if you wanted to cook me like a steak or something, a lot of good fat to render down and make stuff.
I think is there fat and then okay, so I would like to be home feed through my own fat.
That's an amazing answer.
You say sous vide through your own fat?
No, cone feed.
Home feed.
I don't know what that is.
Kind of like boiling your meat in butter.
Oh.
Yep. But you're using my own fat. You're rendering out my own fat into comfying like some of the actual like health parts of my body. I'm assuming my legs. I work my legs out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know that weird part in Leviticus where it's like you can't boil a goat in the milk of its mother?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the spirit of the rule. This is the same concept right here, where it's like, I don't understand why that wasn't allowed. I'm endlessly curious. But not that curious because I haven't actually researched it yet. But that's what comes to mind. Is like, don't boil a goat in the milk of its mother. don't confee Lucian in Lucian fat. 1 to
I
1,
mean-
exact.
What else?
I
would
mean,
you
don't
use it
eat
in?
Lucian, but like, hey, yeah,
yeah.
Don't eat Lucian.
it
Can
is
I get that on
what it is.
T-shirt? Just don't eat Lucian.
Don't
Don't
eat
eat
Lucian.
Eat Randy.
Dude, get out of my head.
Well, if any of you guys are an Old Testament scholar, let us know what the meaning of that is. But Lou, what is your question that you like to ask people when you first meet them?
Mine's super basic, and there's only one wrong answer. It's like my way of figuring out if I want to spend time with a person is I ask them what their spirit animal is, and if they tell me lion, I try to stay far away from that person as possible. That is really the only thing. Any other animal I'm perfectly fine to hang out with, but lion, especially lion men, I try to even lion women, let's be honest, I try to get away from it. At least with women, it's always like I protect my young, this and that. But men, I asked this question, interviewing people to watch children, and I've had the answers lion. And I'm like, oh, why a lion? Is because I just like to have sex.
What?
And I was like,
No.
that's wild,
Pause.
and you're not
First of
getting
all,
this
not
job.
exclusive to lions.
Yeah.
Nope, just lions.
And I don't know if he knows this, but lions have spiky penises, and it hurts. Not I don't know personally. I can hear the silence. I heard the silence.
I was just flashing back to last episode already.
Yeah. Not bringing back last episode. I don't want to
Lou's
keep
like,
this. a
did
running
you
joke.
know that ducks have a corkscrew penis so they can screw in and out?
Did I tell you that?
No, I someone in college
Oh,
said
okay.
that.
Okay, because I do know that is a
Oh
fact.
my-
I try to.
What other animals do you know their genitalia about?
I don't. I
That's
mean,
gonna be
my
its own list.
personally.
We'll talk about this another
But-
week.
Yeah, we'll do this next week. I'll have a nice little jingle made up for Lou's genitalia
Oh
corner.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
See, Lou, you should have found some more crazy stories, and you wouldn't have gotten pushed to this.
I mean, I tried a crazy story one time, and I absolutely butchered it, and you guys never suggested it. So I was like, okay, that ended as quick as it started. But
Wait,
Hey,
was that
it's an open
the nugget
invitation.
heist?
that's the chicken wing heist. Yeah, but I didn't get it.
Loved the chicken wing heist. That my thing is I enjoyed you not knowing exactly what happened. Like, I think that bit should just be Lou with the headline and some vague details trying to fill in the gaps with his imagination. I
Lou's
think
got
that'd be the best bit,
the headline, the first sentence, and then the last paragraph.
honestly. He's just got to come up with the middle. That'd be really good.
All right. This week, we have a highly controversial topic. I know we're going to lose some fans here, but we've hyped it up and hinted at it since our very first episode. We are doing top 5 overrated movies. And I'm going to start us off with my number 5. Came out in 2015. I've checked all my movies against 3 lists that do all time. So this one placed at number 181 on IMDb. It was not on Variety's top 100 movies of all time. And number 74 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I just think is absurd. And that is Mad Max Fury Road. Go ahead, Mike.
No. You go first. This is your thing.
Okay. If I was going to describe this movie to anyone, it is all spectacle with no story. It is a plot that can be described as an upside down L. And if you want to demonstrate it, I've seen Mike do it multiple times. You can use a straw or pretzel and then just bend them to one way, and there's your demonstration of the whole plot. You just go to one end and back to the other. Oh,
Other acceptable apparatuses include the container that the little like paper wrapping that your straw came in, mozzarella stick, a broken pencil, any piece of yarn or thread. Yeah, please continue.
Cords. Also, before we get going, blanket spoiler warning to any of the movies we're talking about here. Let's try to give a second or two pause. I know some people in the past have had to sprint to their car trying to pause the video so we don't spoil something. So we'll give like a 2-second buffer.
Very true, very true. And the obligatory, with the exception of Mad Max Fury Road, just because it's on our list doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
Yes.
It just means it's rated higher than it deserves to be.
That is, yeah, overrated. You can still like it. Some of these movies I think are good. I just don't think they're what a lot of people consider the best of all time. And while there are impressive visuals on Mad Max Fury Road. There is no weight to what is happening on screen because the filmmakers do not take time to make us care about these characters. Like Max, what he like he has a small narration, just info dump at the beginning, but other than that, nothing about him. Nothing about these girls. The bad guy, they're just like, yeah, he's bad. Okay. Like they don't give any like motivation or anything besides he's trying to survive in a wasteland. So who knows? And it's just there's a lot of potential, and I just think it fell flat. And I know when it came out, it was so big, and I think Mike and I were the only people that are just like, it's not that good.
No, I hate that movie. I forgot how long it is when it's not on my cell phone. Yeah, I absolutely can't stand anything about that movie. Rob has covered it perfectly. But like, yeah, it looks incredible. And it has all the narrative weight of a porn. Like it is just
Oh my.
just for the sake of looking at. It is not a good like narrative experience at all. I think there's been 700% more dialogue in this podcast episode already than there was in 7 consecutive rewatches of that movie combined. There's just, yeah, like I can already hear Jacob talking about nonverbal storytelling. Yes, I get it. But there just wasn't much of a narrative to be had. And while it did look really cool, I don't care enough to spend an hour and a half plus on something that just looks cool. Terrible, terrible, terrible movie. If you like anything other than, oh, it looked cool. And I think that's probably part of why nobody really liked Furiosa, is because it just doesn't have staying power.
I didn't see Furiosa, and I should say all my movies, I will admit, I've only seen once, so that could be. Some people might be like, you have to see it multiple times, but this one, I'm good with seeing once. It's pure action, and that's just not my thing. Lou, did you have something? I'm sorry, I think I saw your lights and cut you off.
No, it's cool. Yeah, I didn't mind the first one. I tried to watch Furiosa. Is that how you say Furiosa?
Yeah.
I think so.
And I maybe got in a half hour into it, and I cannot watch any more of this. And I can watch a really dumb movie. I don't mind. I don't mind watching those kind of movies. I've given up on Fast and the Furious, but I mean, best believe I watched quite a bit of them.
I agree. Fast and the Furious, it's a blast, and the plots are endlessly more complicated and nuanced than Fury Road.
Yeah, yeah, and I forgot the main character, what his name is.
Max?
Paul Walker or Dom?
Oh no! I'm going back to the Fury Road.
Max.
Oh, Mad Max. Yeah,
Exactly. Like you don't even know.
the movie's named after him, and you still can't remember his name.
The actor, the actual actor,
Tom Hardy.
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Hardy. I like Tom Hardy quite a bit.
Great actor.
I think he's a great actor.
I think he did everything he could with the lines he was given.
Yeah,
that's fair.
All two of them.
It's funny. I went back and tried to watch some videos and takes on some of these movies. There's one that came out like when this movie came out. It's like it should just be called Mad Max Furiosa because she has more weight on the plot than Mad Max. I'm like, man, that aged like fine wine right there. Mike, what's your number 5?
All right, so my number 5 does need to come with a bit of an asterisk because I saw it. Well, I was also scrolling lists to try and like get a feel for where things are rated, and Rotten Tomatoes top 300 had this movie at number 43, which is an absolute war crime. Toy Story 4 is not anywhere near the 43rd best movie ever made. It's a little upsetting that Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 were like they should be above it. But the fact that you have 4 Toy Story movies on your top 50 is just a little extreme. I like Toy Story a lot. I like Toy Story 2 just as much. I thought Toy Story 3 was pretty good. But Toy Story 4, I forget who said it recently. We've had a lot of guests on, but when you have, it might have been Kyle, but when you have a sequel, it was Kyle, that undoes all of the character growth made in previous movies, that's a problem. and basically you get rid of Buzz and most of the other characters. The movie's just kind of about Bo Peep and Woody, and all of the growth and all of Woody's character development from the first 3 movies just gets chucked out the window. He becomes incompetent. Like the whole thing was just like a betrayal of these characters we've spent all this time with. It was horrendous. And just in general, like I wasn't super engaged or blown away by it. It was not that good of a movie. And if you put it in the top 300, it should be at most 300. And yeah, the fact that it was ranked 43, I'm just not over it. And I did not see it ranked that highly in any other list, but I saw that and I got so mad that I immediately put it on my list. So,
Do you say that was Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes top 300.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it makes no sense. The movie was, bleh. Like it wasn't atrocious, but top 40 something is insanity.
I do think they were right, and I if I remember correctly, they did put Toy Story 2 above any other Toy Story. Which is the correct answer.
I wouldn't fight you on it. I'm not dying on either of those hills. I like Toy Story 1 a lot. I think the narrative structure of Toy Story 1 is somehow still underrated, and I think Toy Story 2 is potentially the greatest sequel ever made. So I wouldn't fight you over either of them. Gun to my head, I'd pick one, but again, not a hard and fast definite. This is the one.
I wonder how much it got bumped up because of the new animation. Like you could see the stitching
look good
in their clothes, and I think that was pretty cool watching.
It got the Mad Max bump because it looked nice.
It looked nice. Yeah, that's a thing.
I also Key and Peele. I love me some Key and Peele. Those guys are brilliant comedic actors, but I did not feel like PG Key and Peele was what Toy Story needed to stay relevant. Like I was like, this feels like just a desperate attempt to like get like it was like they knew they didn't have it, and so they were like, maybe if we bring in Key and Peele, they can save this movie. And Key and Peele were like, wait, we can't actually do what makes us funny. And,
you know, kids love Key and Peele, right?
Exactly, right.
Favorite TV show.
Every kid I know pumps twice and then looks to see if the ref is looking.
So what's his name?
Pump.
Nick whatever.
McKingle. Yeah.
McKingle. I wanted to buy a jersey. You can buy them off Amazon. I thought about it.
Oh, can you really?
I think, or maybe it's eBay. But I saw it was like $30. Like that'd be worth it. $3.
My toddler and I were talking the other day, and she was like, "Ooh, Mom wouldn't let me do this," and I was like, oh, "You said it? You said though?"
With my friends.
Yeah, no, that was. Yeah, I don't. We can move on. We don't need to spend more time on Toy Story 4.
Are you going to see Toy Story 5 when that comes out?
Probably not. Well, I will when it comes out. No, at some point when my child watches it while I'm around, I'm sure I will end up taking this movie in, but it will not be something I seek out.
Fair. Lou,
unless they go with my pitch. But
what's your pitch? Right, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, so the whole gang show up in a new house, and nobody cares about them, and they're all like, "But we're these guys. We've done all these crazy things." They're like, "No, you haven't." And by the end of the movie, they learn that they are actually toys in our real universe, not the Pixar universe, and that everything they remember from the first 4 movies didn't actually happen because they are movies or toys from those movies. And so all of them collectively have to deal with Buzz Lightyear's plot arc from the first movie, but you make it like a crazy Saw plot twist towards the end, like a third act twist.
This is the second time you've pitched this on the pod.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Put that out there.
That's why I was going to just move along, but
yeah, we're getting old. We're becoming an old man.
Dude,
podcast.
I don't remember what we talked about last week.
I was going to say, I don't. You think I don't remember what the topic is next week? I don't remember what the topic was last week. It wasn't for some of Lou's memorable slips.
Somebody makes a Saw in a children's movie. I tend to remember things like that. I don't know.
That's fair. I've also mixed it and Shawshank Redemption with Toy Story 1 in one of my short stories. Lou, you would not like it.
Yeah,
I appreciate
that one. That one's pretty brutal. And also, Kill Bill and Frozen did not work for Star Wars Acolyte. But Lou, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is probably a movie you guys have never seen before. It did great award-wise. I try to count the amount of awards and nominations it got, and I'm not good at counting, so it's not very good. It's The Parasite 2019.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard excellent things.
Yes, it. So to be fair, I hope I'm not, taking anybody off on this. But to be fair, I did watch this. I was so excited to watch this movie. I downloaded it on my phone or on my
Allegedly.
wife's. I paid for it.
Oh,
I
okay.
paid for it.
Not allegedly.
Okay. And no,
Gotta cover our bases.
on Hulu, there's a downloading thing that you can
I don't
do.
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whose password are you using on Hulu?
Oh,
On my account,
allegedly.
on my wife's, where we split finances 50-50. Because I am progressive like that. I downloaded Hulu on my wife's iPad and I watched it, and I was so excited to watch it because I heard so many good things about it, and I'm pro-Asian. I don't know if you guys have know that in the pod by now.
Really?
I tend to love stuff like this, and it was just overwhelming. It's my top 5. I have more weirder things to say as we go on to the list, but I was disappointed. I love what they tried to do. I didn't mind watching it, but it has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody loved it. Maybe it was just too artsy for me. It's the whole idea of greed and class discrimination, and I get that. I just didn't like it very much.
Is it animated? Or is it
Nope,
just,
not
okay.
animated. Nope. I appreciate the fact that you know me enough to wonder if it's animated or not.
Well, you said you're a pro-Asian, so most time you talk
Yeah.
about anime, so that's why I was just curious. I've never heard
it
of
was
this
a foreign
movie,
language
so
film. Did it win Best Picture?
It won a crap ton of things.
I
ton
remember
of
it
Academy
just
Awards.
it cleaned
swept.
up.
Yep.
I just don't like to read my movies. If I'm gonna read, I'm gonna read a book.
But the whole sub versus dub debate, sometimes the sub is, the dub is just awful.
I'm not, for the most part, I don't watch dubbed either. I'm just look, either if it's in English, I'll watch it. If I have to read it to get the best experience, that's what books are for.
Squid Games, the dubbed is awful.
I have heard that, which bums me out because it sounded up my alley.
It's a great show. We'll see what they do with season 2 whenever that comes out, but
taking forever. Yeah, Robert absolutely changed my life, and it wasn't even Robert that said it. It was one of Robert's friends that I haven't seen since then. We were watching The Gray, a really weird movie. The guy from Taken, and he's just fist fighting wolves.
honorable mention.
Oh, is it?
No, I forgot about that movie, but yeah, that movie was so dumb.
And the guy was like, "Hey, can we put Can we put the subtitles on?" And everybody was like, "No." I was like, "Let's try it." So we turned it on. I was like, "I understand the whole movie."
Was that Baby J?
That was Dylan.
Okay.
Dylan
Sand.
Yep,
Sorry.
that one.
Which Sandwich? Dylan Sandwich.
Yep, Dylan Sandwich.
And changed my life. I forever will do subtitles now.
You know what kills me, because there's a lot of people in our mutual circles who do the subtitles thing. They do it on comedy specials.
Yeah, so
subtitles don't respect comedic timing.
Yeah,
it's like
same thing with John Mulaney. When I was they had subtitles on, and then they would say the punchline too before it came up.
Yeah, you can't do that when you're showing somebody a comedy special.
Oh. And I don't think my wife will read all the subtitles, because when we were watching Game of Thrones, there'd be kind of some spoiler, the next line, but then she would react when they actually say the line. But I just can't not read it, it's there. So
yeah, I can't read it most of the time because it's too small, so it's just annoying white and yellow bars popping up, blocking a tiny part of the screen.
All right.
Sorry.
This is a non-subtitle podcast where we're standing. But you can, if you're listening on our RSS feed, we do have automated subtitles, which are actually pretty solid. Anyways, number 4. My number 4 has been described as a boomer fantasy. It won the 1994 Oscar for Best Picture. It is number 11 in IMDb, but it did not make it on Variety or Rotten Tomatoes top list, which I was kind of surprised about. But it
Can't
is.
trust Rotten Tomatoes though, so.
Yeah, I actually, out of all my lists, I kind of agreed with Rotten Tomatoes the most, but the Toy Story thing is, yeah. But this is Forrest Gump.
Man, see, I've only seen it the one time, but I enjoyed it. But I was also fairly young, so
Yeah.
don't trust that one bit. I also liked Red Faction when I was that age, so.
Yeah, so I've only seen it through all the way once, and that was when my wife and I were dating. But before that, I like saw it on TV as the Vietnam section, which I liked. It was the best part of the movie, in my opinion. But the whole point is like it's supposed to be this love story, and I cannot cheer for this love story whatsoever. Like, picture yourself, you have a buddy that's Forrest Gump, and he's in the same situation where he just chasing after this woman. Would you let him be like, oh yeah, keep on hoping there, Lucian, she'll come back to you, or would you tell him to forget that hoe and move on? Like,
Wait, it was supposed to be a love story?
Is that not what is it? Not what it's supposed to be? It's
totally
all about
misread that movie.
It's
then.
all about Forrest and Jenny and like their relationship.
Yeah, but I read that like a tragedy.
Jenny,
Jenny's a terrible person.
Yeah, she is.
Well, to be fair.
Okay,
to
go
be
ahead.
fair,
Defend that hoe.
I'm not defending anything. I'm just saying she was molested her whole life, and the only outlet that she had was Forrest, right? And so, did she lead him on? Maybe. Did she give it to him at the end? Yes.
And then
did she give him a child?
And then
She ditched because that's what dying is, Robert. Your dad didn't leave; he died. It's different.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the body. But she was still alive when she ditched and then just dropped the baby off at the door. Which, to be fair, yes, if she died, I don't.
She dropped her baby off the door.
I actually don't remember that how the baby got.
I gotta rewatch this movie now. I have no idea what happened. I would like to reiterate that I was a teenager and not the oldest of teenagers when I saw this movie.
As a teenager, yes, I was like, screw Jenny. Jenny sucks. And then I became an adult, and then I figured out what trauma is.
Okay, but just because you're traumatized doesn't mean you can keep a guy on the hook, especially like you let him go.
She tried to kick him out multiple times. She raised this child knowing that she was a burden to this dude's life, but he just kept coming around. It's not her fault. When they were in the Black Panthers, she tried to kick him out. She tried to kick him out when she beat the crap out of her boyfriend that she was trying to have sex with. Like, she was actively trying not to be with this dude. He was just persistent.
Yeah. So again, even that, not a love story I can cheer for.
It's not much of a love story, though. I mean,
and then okay, so love story besides, or love aspect besides, I feel like the story is just Forrest being at the right place at the right time and becoming a millionaire through happenstance. So much of it is coincidental, which is like, oh, you just happen to be here.
I'm sorry, Robert. I'm too close to this movie to like.
That, I mean, that's fine. Like I would love to hear your takes. I mean, there should be the back and forth is what helps, but.
No, it's fair. I mean, yeah, the whole like I invested in a fruit company. That's silly as hell. I mean,
well, that was the charm of the movie, though. Was like it was like intentionally. It wasn't like, oh man, I don't have a way to make the plot work, so we'll have a coincidence happen. It was like, no, this guy's just stumbling through life, making all the right choices, and kind of like an allusion to like innocence, just like working out.
It's just too corny for my taste. Is my next point with it, though.
That's fair.
And I'd be much more interested in seeing a Lieutenant Dan story. I think his story as a character is much more interesting, and the struggles he goes through. And my last point is this movie is also a terrible adaptation. Because if I'm going to watch this movie, I want to see Forrest Gump go to space like he does in the books. The book.
My only takeaway from this is I need to both read the book and watch the movie.
Well, I've heard the book is not. I've watched like a difference between the book and the movie one time, and the book's wild. I also don't think it should have won the 1994 Oscar. I think Schindler's List should have, but that's neither here nor there. Mike, what's your number 4?
So you guys remember how upset Lou was with Rob's last pick?
No, don't paint me in that picture. I tried really hard not to be.
Hey man,
But-
I'm not saying you were wrong for being upset. Now, when Rob gets equally upset,
I mean,
The Big Lebowski sucks.
It's your per preference. It's fine. Like, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It's like you had time to prep that joke.
I just thought of
it. Well, it's like you had time to prep it.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been hearing for a very long time how incredible The Big Lebowski was, and I saw it, and I was wildly unimpressed. And I would like to propose that perhaps this movie is better when you have partaken in a little of the Devil's Lettuce.
The White Russians? Oh no, never mind. Sorry.
I suppose if you had enough of those, it might improve the experience as well.
Or just stay up really late.
Yeah, exactly. Anything to alter your mental state, it might make this movie better.
What? Is that how kids get drunk? They just stay up late?
Yeah, slap happy, you know.
I mean, Slap Happy is darn.
Have you seen the end of lock-ins at churches? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a part of that. Yeah, that's fair. That's close. It's close to it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I mean, it's like the same thing as NyQuil. You're tired. You're a little deranged. Yeah. But yeah, the movie. The thing that really upset me about The Big Lebowski is I was actually fascinated by the plot, and I was really, really looking forward to figuring out what exactly it was that happened. And I was also a little annoyed with myself because it's like when there's a bunch of nihilists running around, it's kind of signposting that this movie is about nothing and it's all meaningless. And I just missed this glaringly obvious foreshadowing. And then the plot it comes out to being like, what was it, a misunderstanding? Like the whole thing was just like it was set up to actually be a really interesting kind of like multifaceted plot, and then it turned into nothing at the very end, which was technically in line with the theme that they had set up through the whole movie. But I was like, dude, that could have been an awesome movie, and instead it was just a big pile of nothing. And also Sam Elliott at the end made no sense to me. He was just there to be there.
He's a narrator.
Yeah. Now, I will say there were some fantastic lines. The movie had some laughs. It just has so much hype, and I don't understand it.
Nobody with the Jesus.
We got to shorten that.
Yeah, I'll get the edited one in there. Yeah, are you done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think The Big Lebowski suffers from a lot of what my list is that if you go in, because everyone hypes it up, and it's one of those movies that like if you go in with high expectations, you're probably disappointed because it is a movie about nothing. So I can definitely see that, and I think it's better on multiple rewatches, and I think that's a very common sentiment. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a hilarious movie.
It certainly had its moments, but overrated is exactly the word that comes to mind for me.
I just didn't understand it. I was lost the whole time.
That's reasonable. It was about nothing, so like and that could have been another thing. I could have been pulling together plot threads and be like, wow, this is incredible, and then it wasn't. I was just looking for something that wasn't there, which almost makes me want to
you don't like
rewatch it now.
marmots?
I don't like what?
Marmots? They keep on saying it's the ferret. They call it something else, isn't it? Marmots or something. Just wondering if you're scared of them. Some people don't like ferrets. You know, they're
Ferrets.
lengthy.
Marmites.
I
don't not like them, but I'm not like crazy about them.
Some people are terrified of them. They do smell.
Yeah, no, not terrified of them, but yeah, I have no issue with them being around if they didn't smell terrible, but they kind of do. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, Lou, what's your number 4?
My number 4 I have no information on it. I didn't look it up, or an intern didn't look it up, but that's okay. 2021 Space
Wait, you
Odyssey.
make the intern look up your list for you? Who's effing the intern now?
I didn't know if you were gonna keep that on the podcast, but now I mean you made a joke about it, so now you had to keep it.
It's
on the podcast.
we're live, Lou. Come on.
Well, I mean, how live? If I start
Live.
saying racial slurs over and over and over,
Well,
let's be honest here.
Well, then it's going to make
People
the
are gonna
podcast, and you're not going to make the next podcast.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
We'll have the intern on. Since he
guys
makes
are
your
gonna
list
fire me,
anyways.
or I'm gonna get murdered.
We can't say what the intern will do to get on the podcast.
That's a good
true,
point.
and they're not mutually exclusive either. So
That's fair. We'll talk off pod.
All right. 2001 Space Odyssey.
2001 Space Odyssey. 2001 Space Odyssey. Keep it in the pod, baby. I boil it down to an audio nightmare. That's what I wrote down. It is loud. It is frustrating. I do not care that it was made in the 60s or 70s. Don't care at all. I ended the first 9 minutes of it is monkey sounds and loud noises. My favorite part of the movie, and I think I made it about halfway. Probably a little bit more than halfway because people rave about this.
Oh, you haven't even made the full movie?
I can't. I can't do it. But I feel like if I watch over an hour of the movie, I've watched the movie. And then I looked up the ending, and that's. I heard the books are better.
It's weird. I haven't read the book.
You're gonna need to give us more than that, or otherwise Kyle's gonna and actually listen to the podcast. We're good.
Well, Jacob is gonna already comment.
You'll pass it along. Oh, well, I can actually hear Jacob coming, so you're gonna want to hurry up because he sensed this conversation happening and he's on his way.
Yeah, not a fan. My favorite part of the movie is, and I looked this up. They had a live cheetah. There's in the beginning of the movie, it's just a bunch of grown men dressed in monkey suits, and there is literally a cheetah attacking one of the men in the monkey suits.
That's real.
And it's real.
I mean, it's only waist high, and if you'd given him a spear, you could have taken out the cheetah.
Obviously, if that actor can survive a cheetah, I can take one out with a spear. So check.
Well, I'm assuming that there was a really weird guy in a cowboy hat saying, "Get it, kitten, get it." Well, I don't know. But yeah, absolutely hilarious. That was really funny. I enjoyed that a lot, and I ended it when you were just inside of a man in a spacesuit breathing heavily.
So you missed the acid trip?
Probably. I probably did miss that.
Yeah, I think that it felt like it was like 5 minutes, and it's like this kaleidoscope mesh of just like psychedelics. Just like what? Cause the whole ending is very convoluted.
Yeah, not my thing.
Yeah,
not my thing at all.
It is very impressive for coming out in 1968, but yeah, I thought it was overrated, and that was going to be my honorable mentions. Have you seen it, Mike?
I haven't. I am strongly of the opinion that Star Trek, the motion picture, kind of sucks. And Jacob and I have gone back and forth for a long time, and one of his big arguments is it was largely inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. And my response to that was, well, it sounds like 2001: A Space Odyssey must suck as well. So this is vindication for me. And while I have not seen it, I agree. Overrated.
Yeah, I think you could cut out the beginning part and the end part, and it'd be a decent movie. Like the whole man versus AI, like versus machine thing is interesting. I like how that's done. But yeah, the beginning, ending, and just as a whole, too much of a slog. And I love slow burns, but it was too much and nonsensical at times. Number
what you got, Rob?
All right. My number 3 came out in 1980. It's number 67 on the IMDb, number 90 on Variety, and not on Rotten Tomatoes top 300s. And it is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Yeah. I haven't read the book, so I know Mike is a big King fan, and I think dislikes it for possibly separate reasons that I do. But man, I just found
it's just boring.
Yeah, so many times like so I was finishing up my internship in Colorado, and none of us had seen the Shining. We're like, oh, we're in Colorado, let's put on a scary movie and all that and watch it. And so many times throughout, I'm just checking my phone, like, all right, how much longer we got? Checking the run time, be like, all right, come on. It's just the pacing is so bad, and it's not really scary. Whatever. The scariest part's the old lady titties because you're just not expecting them and they just kind of come out of nowhere. I know Lou's a big fan of the old man penis, but old lady titties it's different. Another callback to our first episode.
You haven't seen that movie, have you?
I have not. Whatever. Was it Midsummer? Midsommar?
No, the other one in Hereditary.
Hereditary. Yeah. Go check out our first podcast. You'll get those references.
Yeah, don't. If you enjoy
it's a little rough.
If you value your time.
Yeah, and I will say there are some very beautiful shots, but that's not enough to save the movie for me. And it's put up there as one of the best horror movies, and it's a slog.
Yeah, I was gonna put The Shining on this list, but I felt compelled to only include movies that I've actually seen beginning to end, and I tried watching The Shining Sunday and was like, God, this is terrible. And I turned it off and a different movie. So, yeah, no, movie sucks. Good book, really good book. Really enjoyed the pacing of the book. Good story. I could go on for a while about lots of fun little details about Stephen King and The Shining and Misery and these weird, bizarre little like similarities between book and movie, and it's fascinating stuff. But different time. What I will say is the sequel to The Shining, Doctor Sleep, I did not care for that that book at all. Really, really thought it fell flat and had absolutely no tension. And the only points I liked were kind of the B plot. The movie, however, cut out everything I liked from the book, and I ended up really, really liking Doctor Sleep. Like, they just did all the stuff that I didn't like about the book better than the book did, and just kind of had to get rid of the stuff I actually liked. So, fun little nugget. Doctor Sleep, not overrated. Probably properly rated, but good movie.
It's rated. Lou, have you seen The Shining?
I've seen The Shining. I liked it. I don't know. I didn't hate it.
Would you say it's one of the best horror movies though?
No, I mean I wouldn't consider it a horror movie. I think the ending just had enough.
See, that's a serious problem when one of the greatest horror books of all time, the adaptation, Lou's like, yeah, not even sure that counts as a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, Stephen King didn't like the adaptation, so there's that.
I think Stephen King is a little weird about his books. I wonder what he like.
Was it because of The Shining?
I mean, not about his books, but his movies. It just seems like he allows anything. Is that
George R. R. Martin would like a word?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't delved too much into that. I know that there's like Stand By Me is one of my favorite examples, because Stephen King is famously from Maine, and The Body, which is the short story or novella, that became Stand By Me, is set in Portland, Maine. And whoever directed Stand By Me just missed that fact and set it in Portland, Oregon, which is just a weird one. But he got the rest of the story pretty spot on. So like, I think there's probably a lot going into contracts and stuff that, involving like how much the author actually has a right to the movie rights. And there's part of me that suspects Stephen King is like, hey man, I wrote the book. If you guys want to pay me a bunch of money and bastardize
those paychecks sure help.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. That seems the vibe for me.
It's like, it's just funding my rock band career.
Yeah, like,
or is it metal?
At this point,
I don't know.
no, it's rock. It's probably Clearwater Revival.
That was who's Saruman? Christopher
Lee.
Christopher Lee was in a heavy metal band.
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah, Stephen King's a fascinating guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just his, I think he actually, one of the only things he has his name on is he had a baseball field built near his home, and that like little league teams don't have to like pay anything to like. It's just he funded this whole baseball stadium, and the only thing is that he has reserved seats so that whenever he wants, he can just go sit and watch a live baseball game.
Nice. The last thing I'll say for my take on The Shining is it should say something where I end up with the movie because no one else wanted it, and I think it got thrown in my suitcase. And there's like 6 people there, so.
That's funny.
Mike, what's your number 3?
My number 3. Yeah, no, we're just gonna put it at number 3 because that's where I had it at. Dude, I don't like Star Wars. I think it is by far. I know, gasp! Everyone's surprised. I think it's just. First of all, I don't think it's that good. Period. But I definitely don't think it should be on a bunch of top 100 lists. So Star Wars Episode 4 specifically, I think it is just by the numbers pulp fantasy storytelling with space slapped over it to try and disguise that, which isn't inherently bad, but I just like I'm not blown away by the acting. I think that it because we have Star Wars, we have all these other things and special effects, and it's the Beatles of that, and I get it.
Don't like the Beatles either, so.
I don't like
Checks.
the Beatles either, and just like I am glad that the Beatles exist. And hey, Helter Skelter's pretty sick. That's a good Beatles song.
Race War?
Huh?
Do you not know like what happened with Helter Skelter?
Nope. Oh, did it call
That-
a race war?
That was like Charles Manson based his whole thing off Helter Skelter.
Oh, did not know that. Good song though.
There's movies called
Random-
Helter Skelter
Random
about
thing
that.
to just say that most people probably wouldn't know. Race War?
Race War?
Yeah. Race War?
I was not ready for take that particular turn. So Star Wars, yeah, it's fine. I get that it was mind blowing for the time, but I am really, really over this argument that because things stand on the shoulders of giants, it somehow like means that the giants aren't outdated and not that good. Like I think the thing that carried Star Wars was its mind-blowing visuals, and in a way you could argue that it was just a better Mad Max Fury Road, which we all pretty much agree is overrated.
A lot more story character beats than
a
Mad
lot
Max
more,
Fury Road.
100%, absolutely. But like I think that it's just it's evil wizard steals princess, farm boy needs help of good wizard to go rescue princess. Like there's nothing new going on. And I somebody else has already created that analogy. I'm stealing it. I'd give them credit, but I don't even know who it is.
It's just the hero's journey, which you know,
there's nothing special
Harry
going on.
Potter does it, Lord of the Rings does it. It's
Yeah. And like me and Jacob were having a conversation the other day. We're playing Arkham City, and I was like, dude, this game is so clunky and awkward to control. And he was like, you just don't like it because you played a bunch of Spider-Man, and of course Spider-Man's going to control more smoothly, and you're probably comparing the very beginning of Arkham to the very end of Spider-Man. I was like, no, dude, I can't walk in a smooth 360 degrees. Like, it's not a feature. It's just an old game, and it could use with like a remake and being touched up. And like, I love the story, but it doesn't change the fact that just because other games have built off what Arkham is, and so many awesome games that I love now have been birthed by Arkham, doesn't change the fact that it's old and clunky. And just because Star Wars is like the godfather of like special effects doesn't mean that it's a good movie. I get that most people are angry and disagree with me. I get that lots of people love what Star Wars was, and I thought Star Wars was super cool when I was a kid, and lightsabers and space and the Force. Yeah, I get it. That's all awesome. I'm all about it. But I just don't think it's objectively as awesome as, you know, people think it is. I think there's a lot of nostalgia propping it up, and the whole special effects shoulders of giants argument, which just doesn't carry water for me.
How dare you like Nightfire over GoldenEye, sir?
Very, very, very easily.
Yeah. I think
That
they're
being said, GoldenEye
So-
had some great levels. If you just ported them up, I'd be down.
Lou, do you got anything about Star Wars?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's your go-to like child film that you grew up watching, maybe with your dad? Or
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man,
Classic.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Those were the two. Whenever it was a movie night, my dad always picked Pirates of the Caribbean, and I always picked Spider-Man. And then we were a Star Wars family, or excuse me, a Star Trek family. I've made that mistake in both directions now. So like, I'll take Wrath of Khan over any Star Wars movie any day of the week. But yeah, so it wasn't like we weren't watching stuff that people who like Star Wars also tend to like.
Yeah.
Pirates and Spider-Man are both in that same kind of nerd culture vein, but yeah. What do you ask?
I was gonna say, got a follow up, Lou? Just
Oh, I mean, I only like Star Wars because my father likes Star Wars. I mean, I wouldn't like Star Wars if that, but it's so ingrained in me that there's nothing. And I talked to Robert about this when the last movies came out. I don't really care what they do in Star Wars. I'm just gonna watch it. I'm just because I love my father. That's all that really is. They got me.
So that makes perfect sense. I think frankly I probably overrate Remember the Titans a little bit because it makes me think of my grandma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I don't care who's related to who. I don't care what color lightsaber. I generally just don't care.
no, I do think it's interesting to say, and like I, as a Star Wars fan, I totally agree. Like a good Star Wars movie is just like a really good Star Wars movie is like just a good movie. Like you don't, it's not like you don't go to Star Wars really for like high concepts. I mean, there's some there, but it's like you don't really go for high concept. You go because you want to be like kind of wowed and lost in the world. I think Star Wars, especially for its time, had some of the best world building and like passive world building you can just get through watching the films. And I think you're just going for that. And like, yeah, especially at the time, the special effects was unrivaled. And, you could say like that's what carries it. But then you look at the George Lucas re-edits where they added more special effects. And if you ask me, that takes away from it. So I think there is, and maybe you could say it's nostalgia, but I think there's some objective things like Greedo shooting takes away from Han's character of being a scoundrel and things like that. So I love Star Wars. The real Star Wars, not the Disney Star Wars. That's a whole different topic, as I've stated multiple times on this podcast. But yeah, I understand why you could say it's overrated, but I think it holds a place in my heart, and I grew up on it, so that is a caveat to put there.
And I wouldn't try and take it away from people who grew up on it. I totally get that. And to be fair, as a world, freaking awesome, man. How many good Star Wars games are there?
Mhm.
Like,
It's true.
Battlefield. I heard Force Unleashed was great. I never played it.
The first one
Jedi
was good.
Survivor games look awesome.
KOTOR.
Like, it's a KOTOR. Absolutely, it's an awesome world to set cool stories in. I just don't think that Star Wars Episode 4 happens to be that cool of a story.
Question, side tangent. How would you rank the original trilogy, 4 through 6?
I legitimately haven't watched them in 8+ years. So 6, 5, 4, based on what I
Ooh,
thought when I was like
interesting.
10.
Okay, that's fair.
I like green lightsabers more than blue lightsabers. Like,
Oh, so you're saying 6 is the best?
yeah.
I thought you
yeah,
were going
6
descending.
was-
Okay, yeah, definitely. Even
Yeah.
more of a hot take.
yeah, I liked 6, then I liked 5, then I liked 4.
You liked Ewoks because you were a little kid?
I didn't really care one way or the other about Ewoks.
Cut into How I Met Your Mother Ewok theory.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, no, it was. Well, I didn't really have a teddy growing up. That wasn't like a thing that I had. I had a blanket. I had a blanket with
you were
some
a
nice silk
Linus.
edges. So it didn't really remind me of my teddy. But yeah, no. I just I don't know that I'd be willing
you
to
liked the
rewatch
beginning
them.
of 6. That's why you liked it, you dirty dog, you.
Bro, I'm
see you
blind.
over
I couldn't
there.
even tell. Also,
I
I'm pretty sure my mom. I was probably like 16 by the time I saw Leia in a gold bikini.
Did your mom
So-
fast forward that scene?
Oh yeah, I had no idea that that was even a thing for the longest time.
Really?
By the time I saw Leia in a gold bikini, I'd seen far worse. So
All right, Lou, what's your number 3?
My number 3 grossed over $300,000. It is the best advertisement for Air Force. It is Top Gun.
wait, that can't be right. It only
Yeah,
grossed
100 million. You mean
300,000.
100 million?
100,000 million. Yes, you're right. I went to Detroit
Okay.
Public Education.
I was
DPS.
like, that's not a lot.
Yeah, the newest one did over $1 billion. I know.
Holy crap!
Crazy amount of money. Crazy amount of money. I was super excited for it. I just watched. It's not Juggernaut. What is it? What's that movie? What's that war movie called? Where the
Which one?
It's like a super famous one. It's from Vietnam. It's like something not Juggernaut.
Full Metal Jacket?
Full Metal Jacket. Thank you. I don't know how you got that off of what my
Well,
idiot
the
thinks.
Vietnam
I don't
movie
either.
kind of.
Yes, there's fair. I was in a war movie kick for a little bit, and
Good kick.
I enjoyed most of them. I was like, this is good. And then I said, I'm going to watch Top Gun now because it was older and everybody like loved it. And I couldn't stand it. I thought it was the most boring. I don't even know if it's definition of a war movie. I don't even think it has a plot. I generally think it's just an advertisement for Air Force. It just feels like a collection of scenes stitched together in a long shirtless football scene.
Wait, are you talking about Maverick?
Classic.
Are you talking about Maverick or the original?
I'm talking about both of them because I'm adding them together. As soon as I said the football
okay.
scene, I was like, I think that is the.
Yeah,
did they not do
volleyball
football scene in
is
Top
is
Gun?
volleyball.
It's volleyball in the first one. Yeah, I haven't seen either
Oh,
of them, but I
I'm
knew
so
that.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I came with that attitude. I apologize, guys.
Danger zone. So yeah,
don't
you
know
just
what to
thought
say.
they were boring, both of them.
But they were. I didn't even watch. I watched maybe like the 10 minutes of the second one. Yeah, couldn't stand it. Didn't like it.
Talk to me, Goose.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
not into it.
So I agree with you. The first one I think is overrated. One of my favorite arguments though is I've seen it online. I think I've heard people in person is they argue that it's actually a chick flick, and it's just funny, just because diehard fans get so pissed off at it. But I really enjoyed the second one. I thought it was a very fun movie. It kind of had like that Ford versus Ferrari, like high octane vibe to it. So I really enjoyed the second one.
I absolutely love Ford versus Ferrari, and I've said that on the pod, I think multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second one had just like it was like the hot girl at the bar that just doesn't have anything good to say. Like it knew that it was going to gross a lot of money, and they could,
Just do whatever they want. People will come see it.
and people will just come see it. And I didn't want to support that, but if you say it's good, I might give it another chance.
Hey, well, when you come over, we can watch it. I got it on Blu-ray.
That is, if I travel the distance to no man's land, where no black has ever been, I'm definitely not watching that damn movie.
I have
I do
some
think
work.
it's cool.
I know some work colleagues that would disagree with that, but you know.
Do you have black work colleagues, or just the fact that the movie is good?
Black work colleagues.
Oh, that's cool.
Lou just got fact checked.
I just
Bam.
got fact checked. That's cool. I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
tell me these things, Robert.
You will be the 8th black
Yeah.
to ever.
Have you
no
seen?
awkward weddings.
Have you
Sorry,
seen
what?
either of them, Mike?
I have not, but I do think it's cool that they learned how to actually fly the fighter pilot jets or
Yeah.
whatever for the second one.
That's one thing-
pretty sick.
I was gonna say it's cool that it's like basically it's all real most of the stuff. It's not really CGI, which is just insane to watch. And the amount of money, and like Tom Cruise funded a lot himself. Which say what you will about the guy's personal life, he's a really good actor, and he does like his own stunts and everything. And that's impressive. I don't agree with his worldviews, but at least he goes all out for the films.
Mike, do you do research on movies that you never watch, or probably will never watch?
No,
What do you know
my
about-
dad just has that fact holstered 24/7. Like I guarantee you, if you next time you see him, if you just find a way to slip in Top Gun, I'll bet you he brings that up.
Well, the last time I saw your dad, he put his face near my face and was like, "What's up, sugar?" and then walked away. So
That
Was that this past
exactly
weekend?
like him.
yes, that was this past weekend. And I was like, "I hope you don't have COVID." And he fully do. It's like, all right.
So your dad
Well-
really likes it, Mike?
I don't even know if he really likes it. I just know he likes that fact.
Yeah.
In fact, gun to my head, I'd say he'd tell you that the first one's overrated.
Hmm.
But I could be wrong. I could be way off. It's been a while since we actually talked about it. I know he busted out the Tom Cruise fact recently, but it was like some weird, obscure way that we got to it. It wasn't talking about Top Gun.
Another one of my things I love for Tom Cruise movies. Tom Cruise is pretty short, and you'll see like different scenes where he's walking. They like prop him up, so there'll just be like this what's the word? There's like the bad continuity for his height in different scenes. It's just hilarious to look for. So next time you're watching a Tom Cruise movie, look for height differences.
He also has a tooth in the middle of his face.
Yeah.
Which is suspicious.
Other fun fact about Tom Cruise is that he was one of the Hollywood hot guys for a long time. I don't know if he still is or not. I don't pay attention to that. But I know that Rob's mother-in-law never thought he was that cute, and it always just kind of annoyed him or her when people would fawn over Tom Cruise.
Did he ever come out of the closet? Oh
Not
shoot, we're
to my
canceled.
knowledge.
Oh, I can't make that joke.
Well, he tried, but he couldn't reach the handle. So
That's funny.
South Park reference for you people out there. Number twos?
yeah, why not?
All right, I'm going to switch up my list. My number 2 comes in at 104 on IMDb, number 4 on Variety, and Rotten Tomatoes has at number 33. It is the 1941 classic that many people hold as one of the best movies ever made, Citizen Kane.
Dude, that movie sucks.
Yeah, it's so bad. Both
Never seen it.
Okay. Both me and my friend watched it, and we just felt like we had the biggest blue balls of all time with the whole Rosebud twist. It's slow as all get out, and I acknowledge that at the time it was groundbreaking in cinematography. It probably was, but now it's just like standard stuff. And the whole premise of the story doesn't really make sense. It's like this whole world is fawning over this rich guy's last dying words of Rosebud. And they're like, oh, what is it? Is it a secret code? All that. So it's kind of like what Mike, I guess, kind of felt like the Big Lebowski. He's like, oh, what is this? Is this hidden treasure or whatever? No, it's just a sled as a kid. That's it. That's the whole thing. And it's just like, what, that's it. And like I said, biggest cinematic blue balls I've ever had. I just felt like I wasted. It felt like it was a 4-hour long movie and not worth the payoff.
That I haven't seen it, but I know the feeling.
Have you guys ever watched 12 Angry Men? So I feel like that's in the same realm as
I
Citizen
tried.
Kane.
I watched it in high school. I think we watched it. I don't remember anything about it, but I saw it highly rated on the list I was looking too. But like I said, I don't remember much out of it. I think it had Piglet in it though. He was one of the men. So us high schoolers should always laugh when he got on because he'd be talking like a Piglet voice almost.
I know I saw it at some point, but I wasn't super impressed.
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
have you seen Citizen Kane, Lou?
No,
Yeah.
no, I just like, maybe when I was a teenager, I feel like in my teenager time like that. Now I just don't feel like I can waste time like that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of what Mike was saying. That's the giants that people are standing on, but they're just old and not very good.
Yeah.
I do like Casablanca though, so if you want an old movie,
Casablanca
go watch
rocks,
Casablanca.
dude.
Here's to you, kid.
I don't know what I thought I was getting into when I first watched Casablanca. It wasn't what I expected. I kind of thought it'd be a castle. But man, is that movie good.
Also a good cigar if you're looking for a brand. Or a decent cigar. I haven't had in a while, but well, if no one has anything to say about Citizen Kane, we can move on to you, Mike.
All right, this one is gonna upset some people as well. I wanted to say The Shining, but as we already discussed, I couldn't make myself watch The Shining, and so it felt accurate but disingenuous. And then I remembered a movie that just pisses me off even more than The Shining, because I love it, it's my favorite book by Stephen King. It's probably one of my favorite novels of all time. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I like it the way hardcore Tolkien lore heads like the Lord of the Rings, and they like digging through the what are those? They're not the apostrophes.
Appendices.
That's a appendices. Thank you. Like big fan. I love the way he fleshes out the world, and there's just all this detail and all this character. And it chapter 1, man, just neutered everything I liked about the first half of it, or not even the first half of it, because it messed. Like, one of the things that made it so good was the way it jumped between the adult time, kid time, and the way that the It movies went. First, we're going to tell the kid story, then we're going to tell the adult story. That also bothered me. But there were just so many rich details that just got totally lost in It chapter 1, and it really just it left me feeling upset and angry and let down, and like one of my favorite stories of all time was just half told.
Yeah, why'd they leave out the train?
The train, I was okay with them leaving out. Everything else, I was quite upset by. Yeah, just endlessly disappointed. And I thought it was short-sighted to not do the adult story and flip back and forth, because that's part of what made the book so fantastic.
It would probably cost too much to pay for all those actors on.
They could have just done
They're
it
doing
like
it
The Lord of the
anyways.
Rings and done it. Yeah, exactly. They were gonna film both movies, just film all of it in one go, and then release it in 2 halves. But yeah, man, and the thing that bothered me was everyone on the planet seemed to love that movie, and nobody actually wants to read this book because it is massive.
It's huge. Yeah, it's a large book.
It
Yeah,
might be a
Sanderson's
bigger
bigger.
word count than the Bible. It's not, but it's huge. It is absolutely massive. Nobody wants to take the time to read it. To be fair, the ending kind of falls a little flat, and there's the weird train scene. But there's so much just cool, rich lore in those books, and even down to little like character motivations, like when at the very beginning of the movie, when the bully tries to like carve his initials into Ben's stomach, and in the movie it's just like, wow, this guy is just a freaking psychopath. He just doesn't like this kid, so he's gonna carve his initials into his gut. In the book, it's like, yeah, no, he's a psychopath, but here's why he's mad at him, which is these little things, that like, okay, I can understand the way this character's trauma informs his bad choices, Forrest Gump, and like that wasn't there, and so instead he was just a like malicious hoe, um, like in Rob's worldview, like it was taking lose nuanced understanding of Forrest Gump and turning it into Rob's high school understanding
Did it
of
have
Forrest Gump.
half-filled platitudes that tried to be deep?
Maybe. I don't know. I was just upset the whole
Forgot to add
time.
about Forrest Gump.
You're welcome. Yeah, no. Didn't like the movie. And the really annoying part was It Chapter 2 was so horrendously just departing entirely from the book that I actually kind of liked it, because I was like, okay, this isn't like close to the book, but not quite. This is just gone in another direction. And so I was able to enjoy it for what it was. And I'm like one of like the only people on the planet who liked It Chapter 2, and one of the only people who didn't like It Chapter 1.
What do you think, Lou?
Sorry. Yeah, I loved both of the movies. The first one made my heart rate go up. I was generally like, I guess, scared. If you had a watch on me, you would see my heart rising. So it did something to my body that I generally just couldn't help. So I would say I liked it. The second one wasn't as scary, I think, as the first one. I don't know if I
Definitely
just
not as scary.
yeah, and I enjoy. I don't think I can be scared easily, but it's just something that they did. Maybe the nuance of it just made me. I got sucked into it. So
It's also easier to be scared for kids than for adults.
Maybe that's
'Cause
what it was.
I think that one of the signs of a good horror movie is not that it scares you, but that it makes you feel for the character and then you fear for the character.
Mhm.
And so just inherently, it's easier to make something scary when the subject is a child because you're like, oh, the kid, he can't do it. He can't save himself. When it's the adult, it's like, okay, you're an adult. Figure it out.
Yeah, I didn't know I had this problem with like kids getting hurt until I started reading stuff that Mike's wrote, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I do care about this, and I'm having a hard time taking this in." So, um, yeah, good stuff.
I am surprised it is only 28,000 words less than The Rhythm War, so one of the Stormlight novels. It's
Yeah, it's a beast.
yeah, it's almost 438,000 words according to our intern. But I enjoyed the first one. I didn't see the second one. I enjoyed part one. I liked the meme of Pennywise dancing that we got out of it. It's a certified banger right there. There's weird like
We'll say Skarsgård was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the cast was all really good. The acting was great. It was entirely the choices that the scriptwriters made that just broke that movie for me.
I'm wondering if the director either A, didn't trust himself, or B, didn't trust his audience to understand a non-linear storytelling. I don't know if maybe that's why. He's like, this will be a lot easier for the audience to digest, because, a lot of people would argue we're getting stupid, like, dumber as a people. So
It's true, but like it was I don't know. You'd have to read the book to understand the argument well, but like the book almost is a linear telling because they like the adults. A lot of the adult storyline is them just remembering, like basically like they blocked out what happened as kids, and then so like as you're seeing it play out in the kids sections of the book, it'll cut to the adults, and then the adults will be like, oh yeah, like a lot of their story is them unlocking the memory of what happened during the kid portion, which you can't do as well when you already told the whole story of the kid portion, which is why they had to have new weird added kid portions in chapter 2. And then you also lose some of the scares for the adults because like part of what made it scary with the adults is like they hadn't quite figured it out yet, but you pretty much had it figured out as the reader by then, and so like you were able to like be scared for these adults because they didn't even realize what was coming after them. And like you got to experience this weird like Twilight horror of like I know something's happening and like this thing is like is scary, but as I'm seeing this thing that scares me in like my current situation, I'm also having memories unlocked and like it was fascinating stuff. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff that I loved that just got lost.
did you watch the miniseries?
I didn't. I've heard really good things. I've tried. It was like 5 hours long, and Mackenzie hates horror, so it was hard to find time to watch a 5 hour miniseries from the 80s.
Shout out to John Boy though. He's one of the adult characters. John Boy from the Waltons.
Nice.
Yeah, I've just seen clips of that one, but I think it's funny behind the scenes. You just see the actor like with he has the makeup on, but he has the wig off, and he's just like smoking a cigarette. It's so out of place.
That's hilarious.
Lou, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is hard. I've been researching both of them to figure out which one I hate.
You should have more fiber.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's so funny because I'm acting on trying to eat. Guys, how the hell do you know? What the hell? Have I shared that with you?
No.
My bowel movements.
You just said your number 2 was hard, and I was like,
Yep, you got it. You got it good. I'm gonna go for the newest Batman, the Batman. I guess it's the. I've tried. So I've watched every single Batman other than like the older ones, the Kapow ones. I haven't watched those. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't say I am. It's not my favorite superhero, right? Like it's, but I love the Batman movies. I've watched all of them. I even like the nipple Batman. It's all good stuff. I've tried so many times to watch this newer Batman, I've watched it. I at least 5 times, and I've gotten as far as halfway. I cannot watch it. It's so bad. I don't know why I don't like it so much. I will say, I, I, I do have a problem with Robert Pattinson being Batman. I don't like it. I don't like him as Batman. I wish I did. I think I like my Batman to be beefier. That might just be a personal issue of mine.
I saw a meme either today or yesterday. It's like, yeah, Robert Pattinson didn't want to bulk up because he didn't want to put unrealistic expectations on men. It was like, you're playing a superhero. It's already, the whole premise is unrealistic.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. I hate Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I don't think she's a great actress.
Racist.
Oh, oh.
Uh,
Has she been in anything else that I'm looking through it
has
right
she
now?
been to North Dakota? That's the real question.
That is the real question. No, she hasn't really been in anything that I've enjoyed. It's just, it's just bad for me. I love the Riddler. I love what they did with the Riddler. I think he's a great actor,
Mm-hmm.
whoever his name is. I
Also,
have
there
no
will be blood.
problem with James Gordon being a black man. So there's that.
I love Lou defending himself against my completely fake headline.
You know, yeah, I've tried so many times. I try to usually when I'm sick is when I try to get through all of my movies that I need to watch, and I've tried multiple times. I've been sick quite often this year in last year. Can't do it. That's my take.
I actually one thing that I took away from The Batman was I thought that movie managed to simultaneously handle race in a way that was like way better than most movies handle race. Um, while also handling race in a different element in a way that was just like obnoxious and like, oh, cool, this is exactly what's wrong with Hollywood. And I thought I loved the way they did Jim Gordon. It was like, hey, Jim Gordon's black. We don't gotta make a big effing deal about it. It's like, cool, he's black. Is he good at his job? Great. Like, moving on. Like, both as an actor and like I thought he was a fantastic Jim Gordon. I loved him. He was great, and it wasn't this like they didn't make this big deal in the press about like, ooh, we made Jim Gordon black. And it was like, all right, great, he did a good job, and that's all we need to say. And then at the exact same time, they had that I don't even know his name. He was just old white guy who is clearly evil because he is old white guy at the beginning of the movie. And I was like, oh, cool. That's clever and nuanced writing. Good job. Like, you know, like I was just like, how did you manage to do it so well and so lazy in the same movie? I don't know. Bothered me.
Was it Penguin
And
or no?
no, it was like just some random. It was the guy from like the very first crime scene.
I don't remember.
I only saw it the one time. But like, yeah, I think it's the first guy that ends up dying, and like they could have done things to be like, hey, this is a bad dude, but instead they just kind of like played the race card and had like young black girl be like, this guy is bad because he's old white guy, and I was like, just tell me some things he did that are bad. Don't make him bad because of the color of his skin. That's not helping anybody. Yeah, I don't know, but I will say, that I got done with that movie and I was like, I, to a lesser extent, felt the way that I felt after I saw The Passion of the Christ, where I was like, that was good. Don't ever need to do that again. That was draining emotionally, and I'm tired now.
I don't think that should be a Batman movie.
I'm happy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There was some location shot in Detroit, so you know I'm all about that. But I thought the movie was okay.
I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah. I will say that aesthetic was perfect for Nirvana's Something in the Way. As a not a big Nirvana fan, like that fit the whole song fit the ambience of the movie very well.
I agree.
Yeah.
It did stuff well, but I definitely like it was just like the ultimate example of dark and gritty superhero movie where I was like, I like to have some fun and excitement and leave with a little bit of like woohoo. And we did not get that.
Who was the Batman before Christian Bale? Was it Val Kilmer?
Sounds right.
Okay, I haven't seen any of the old ones, but it's I think it's interesting to look how like
No, it was
Christopher
Clooney. It was
Clooney.
Clooney, Kilmer, and Nicholson.
Okay.
Not Nicholson. That was the Joker.
That's a joke.
The guy who was in '89. A lot of people, a couple generations up, favorite Batman. I forget his name right now. Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know. I just think it's interesting. Like after Christopher Nolan did it, the cinematic Batman seemed to get darker. And granted, I haven't seen a lot of the old ones, but like, after who's the Snyder tried to make a darker Batman from there, and then it feels like with this one, I don't know who the director was, tried to make a darker Batman than that one. So I think it's just interesting that they're trying to go for that more gritty ones. I'm wondering if we're gonna see like almost the pendulum swing in the other direction. It'll get more campy again.
Well, and it doesn't need to get like a lot more. Like honestly, I really like a lot of what they tried to do with Ben Affleck's Batman. I think they were just trying so desperately, like DC was trying so hard to catch up to Marvel that I was like, okay, I didn't need a lot of this, but I really liked a lot of what they did with Batman vs Superman's Batman elements. But yeah, no,
Why'd
I'm
you
not
say
saying
that
it was
name?
perfect. That was absolutely stupid. But like, yeah, I'm with you. They keep trying to be dark and gritty, and I think realistically, The Dark Knight nailed that tone, and we don't need another Dark Knight. And maybe trying to out gritty The Dark Knight isn't the solution.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the heightened focus on the detective elements, though. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it was just
Batman.
too dark and sad and depressing.
All right, ready to really get people mad with our number ones?
Oh yes.
All right, my number one also came out in 1994. It is number 8 on IMDb's ranking, number 5 on Variety's, and Rotten Tomato I can agree with at 136. It is Quentin Tarantino's, most people argue, his best film, Pulp Fiction. And I think a lot of my disappointment in this film is I went in with everyone saying this is the best film ever. It was like one of the best films ever. You know, you gotta watch it, but gotta watch it. It's like so much hype was going into this, and I watched it. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like I didn't think it, like if I would have went in with no expectation, I'd been like, that's a good movie. I like other Tarantino films better, but I wouldn't that. But I was very disappointed at the lack of being blown away, and there's just like, I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't think it was all good. One thing that I kind of really soured my mouth is we're gonna get demonetized, even though we're not monetized on here. But the rape scene was just unnecessary. Like it felt like it was only there for shock values. There wasn't any character development from it. The characters didn't grow or it didn't change anything. It's just like Quentin Tarantino was like, yeah, let's just shock people with this rape scene and then move on from it, and it doesn't do anything. I think it's funny that a lot of people are like, yeah, that's a good Bible verse. It's not actually a Bible verse. That's not a real verse in the Bible. Nitpicky. I'm wondering if Tarantino wrote himself in as a cameo just to drop the N-word multiple times.
Yeah.
That's a whole debate on him writing it, but him putting himself in there and saying it. That's whew. I'll let the listener decide.
What a brave man.
I will say though, as much as I didn't like it, and I don't think it's like, I think it was one of the first big movies to do nonlinear storytelling. I don't have a problem with the concept of nonlinear storytelling, but this one just didn't do it for me. I think there's better examples out there, like Dunkirk. I'd point to that one, but I will say Samuel L. Jackson did kill it in this movie, and to me, he's like the only bright spot. Is most of his scenes are fantastic. John Travolta didn't really do it for me, and Bruce Willis and the whole like just random dance thing doing, was it the twist or whatever, just wasn't my thing, and I was so disappointed after I watched it. I just felt like, man, I just never felt more let down. Mike couldn't even get through.
I was gonna say, I love that this is your number one, because while I couldn't get through The Shining, I wouldn't even try to get through Pulp Fiction again.
Tried it twice.
I've tried it twice. I have never made it through that movie awake. It just legitimately has put me to sleep every single time I've seen it. I don't understand the appeal. True romance is infinitely better than most movies, and especially infinitely better than Pulp Fiction. English MFer, do you speak it? Great line. The whole Royale cheese thing, not half bad. yeah, no, I don't understand the appeal.
All right, Lou. I know this was a big movie for you back in the day. What are your thoughts?
It's not my favorite Tarantino movie now. It's probably not in my top 10 favorite movies now. I think I watched it right at the time where I become an adult, and that shaped how I liked it. Um, yeah, yeah. I recently watched it again, and didn't. I forgot how well Samuel L. Jackson did, so I'm happy that you talked about that, Rob. He acted his butt off, especially against all the other people who were acting in the movie. He blazed it. Like, he did such a good job. Um, yeah, the rape scene was something that I was crazy for. I didn't know what a gimp was growing up, and so that was the first time I experienced that. It's the first time. It was just like a lot of first experience, and I think that's why I like this.
It was like opening the world up to you,
To
experiencing a lot of different.
yeah, to that kind of stuff. I've never seen it before, so that was crazy. Not my favorite. Yeah, Inglorious Bastards I think is far better storytelling,
Good movie.
and
Great
it
movie.
is a really good movie. I think same thing with Django, Kill Bill, The Hateful Eight, a little long, still better. Yeah,
I really like
yeah. I'm not
Reservoir
gonna.
Dogs. I think that one was fantastic. I think it was actually his first film.
Was his
First
first
like movie.
film? I think it was good. Nice little twist at the end. I think for his first film, I think it was a really good movie. But yeah, the beginning of Inglorious Bastards, I think, is in my top 5 favorite ways to start a
Mm-hmm.
movie.
And
Very,
honestly,
very
I'd,
cool.
I'd probably even put Jackie Brown above Pulp Fiction.
I couldn't even finish Jackie Brown. I didn't like it very much.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't think, and I'm not defending this man because I have know nothing about. I don't think Quentin Tarantino is racist.
no,
I mean,
I meant to preface this as I'm mostly joking with this, but
yeah, yeah. I do think he is. I do think he is other things. I don't think he
he
is
likes feet.
a. He does like feet. He is a big feet guy. That's not what I was talking about, but I'll let
All
it
right,
off.
we'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that.
Do you like Tarantino, Mike?
I haven't seen a ton, but I really liked 100% of everything that wasn't Pulp Fiction I've seen, which is just True Romance, but still.
What is I didn't even realize that was a Tarantino film. What's kind of the premise of that, or that was it?
So, it long walk for a short drink of water here, but um, you have this guy, he meets girl, falls in love in a night. Girl disappears. Turns out, even though I don't think they slept together, the girl was paid for by a friend to come just like give him some magical evening. Guy goes to hunt down girl to like find her. Um, Finds her at this house that's run by her pimp, and in the process of breaking her out, somehow accidentally steals a briefcase or a duffel bag that has an insane amount of cash in it. And then it's the two of them on the run. Well, the owners of this money are after them. Um, some of the best dialogue I've ever heard in a movie. You think they use the N word a lot in Pulp Fiction. Oh my goodness. There's a scene where one white guy tells another white guy that his specific brand of Italian people are actually N words.
Is it Christopher Walken?
Yeah, I believe so. And to be fair, it was one of the sickest speeches I've ever heard. It was really cool because essentially he knows that he has information that this guy wants, and he's like, he's gonna torture it out of me. And he just pisses him off so much that he gets him so angry that he kills him instead and doesn't have the chance to torture him. It was, yeah,
So it
really.
started class. There's like some big
Oh
names.
my
in that
gosh, it's
too.
insane. Also, James Franco in Pineapple Express's entire look is based off Brad Pitt's look in that movie. I'm not even convinced his character isn't based off that character. Yeah, awesome movie. And yeah, big fan. Liked it a lot.
Well, what's your number one, Mike?
Okay. Oh my gosh, I almost don't want to say it out loud. So say this. I once said Will Ferrell was overrated on this podcast because he hasn't really done anything good outside of Anchorman and Elf. And that holds true in light of Step Brothers. I watched that movie a couple years ago for the first time. I'd heard nothing but good things, and everyone who I've heard nothing but good things from started watching that movie when they were like 15, and that's the only reason they like that steaming pile of garbage. It was not funny. I maybe laughed 3 times throughout the entire film. It sucked. I don't understand why people talk about this movie like it's the greatest comedy of all time. It's barely even chuckle worthy.
Yeah, I agree. It's I watched it when it came out. That was like late middle school, early high school, and obviously that whole era of comedy really appeals to that age group. So I loved it. I think the better John C. Riley Will Ferrell movie is Talladega Nights, but yeah, some of the one-liners in Step Brothers are fantastic. But besides that, it's like yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, like it's not that good.
But
That's all.
who
I don't
doesn't
even have a
love
lot to say
boats and
about it.
hoes?
Oh my gosh.
Ugh. I used to know more than that, a lot of lyrics to that song than I would like to admit.
I think you have performed it in front of quite a bit of people.
Have I? Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah. I remember you singing it, that's all.
It's catchy, man. It's an earworm.
It is the earworm.
Do you like it, Lou?
I don't care for it. I mean, like, it was what it was. I think we kind of hung out with around the same kind of crowd, and we grew up around the same time. And I think, culturally, just things take and things don't take, and it gets overhyped, and you like something even though you don't really put a thought to it. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's
Makes
getting pretty late.
perfect sense. I mean, it's peer pressure. People liked it. Other people felt they had to like it. And I agree that the age bracket definitely like helped. Like when it came out, it's like, oh hey, cool, yeah, like boats and hoes. Like we're just immature kids and things make us laugh. And like Will Ferrell was on fire. Everybody, God forbid you say anything bad about Will Ferrell. And like, yeah, no, I don't think it aged well at all. I didn't see it until I was a full-fledged adult, and I was wildly disappointed.
Now, I will say, infinitely better than Holmes and Watson.
Never
Sure,
watched
Not
it.
hard to
low
beat.
bar.
I think it's one of the worst
Yeah.
movies of all time. It's considered one of the worst movies of all time. So bad. All right, Lou, bring us on home with your number one.
Well, this is the correct answer. My number one, with grossing over $2.9 billion,
Oh my gosh.
the Avatar, the highest grossing movie of all time. It is, if you boil it down, it is cowboys versus Indians, and one of the white men become an Indian and
Oh,
defends
that
his.
Avatar.
Yeah,
Is it the Avatar or is it just Avatar?
it just says Avatar.
James Cameron's Avatar.
James Cameron's Avatar.
Okay, yes,
people.
blue person Pocahontas. I saw this on the thread and legitimately thought you were talking about Last Airbender. I was
The
like,
movie.
nobody likes that movie.
Nobody liked that movie. That'd be funnier if I said that one, but no. Yeah, I think it is the true definition of what we were just talking about, with little to no plot, just very pretty to look at.
That
The
has
second
been a thread
one,
this episode. Common theme.
yep, which is a common theme. The second one was just the same, pretty to look at, not very good. Very good water graphics. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the acting wasn't subpar. The premise was subpar. Really, I think James Cameron as a director, I looked through some of his stuff, not very good. He hasn't not done a lot of things.
I mean, he's like
Aliens
like
and Terminator 2.
I will say, I will give it to Aliens. I think Terminator 2 is also a little overrated. I will say.
Ooh, that
I
was a
know
hot take.
that is a hot take that I did not want to step on. Was not going to step on that one. Yeah, yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
My mom liked
I
True
also
Lies. I haven't seen it, but she liked that one. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, is that Schwarzenegger and the girl from freaking Halloween and Freaky Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That
Yeah,
I do not know. I wasn't allowed to
it is
watch
Jamie
it.
Lee Curtis.
Oh
It's the
yeah, no,
only.
that makes sense that you weren't allowed to watch it. I remember that movie being good. It's been a long time, but
Lou, how could you forget about the hit Piranha 2?
Piranha 2? Oh no. I think Titanic, let's just be honest here. I think Titanic is super overrated as well.
100%. I'll give you
Becca.
that.
Becca's
Although
just
I
a
actually
white
haven't
right
seen
now.
it.
Just a white man trying to bang a chick the whole time. He could
Well, I
have
mean, that's most
He's just
movies,
thirsty.
but
Forrest Gump
That
too.
is-
What's your point?
yeah,
for oh
I saw it coming a mile.
yikes. So back to Titanic, he could have been on that door, right? It's crazy.
Did the MythBusters do an episode like if he would have fit and if it would have floated or something?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I will say Aliens is probably in my top 100 favorite movies. Especially if you
better be.
compare, yeah, especially if you compare it to the first one and the rest of them. Aliens 3, I don't know if you guys this I'm going way out of there, but Aliens
Ooh.
3 is the worst movie ever, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, we're gonna have to have an Alien 3 deep dive episode and bring Andrew and Hot Kyle in on it because those two have drastically different opinions of that movie.
They like
I'm-
Aliens 3?
Kyle loves Aliens 3.
Oh my God.
Andrew hates Alien 3. I'm a little positive of center on Alien 3, but I don't think it's great.
The rape scene on Aliens 3, or the close to being rape scene, I think is so stupid. It is ridiculous.
Been a long enough time since I've seen it that I don't remember that scene. So I'd have to give it another watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense. Prison, so that adds
Race
up.
war?
I hear that happens.
Race war? Question mark? Race war?
That was a Whitest Kids You Know reference for any deep cut, any true fans out there.
Oh, you
man.
didn't come up with this? I thought you came up with
You
it.
know, just me. I'm just like, yeah, race war.
Race
Come on,
war?
man, race war.
Come on, man, race war. Bring her. No, don't bring her. What is she? What? She's Italian. Yeah, don't bring her. Hey, you want to get her?
No.
You like her? That's right.
No.
Well, don't tell her. She might tell the Italians.
It's the same race.
As what?
Us?
What?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're American.
Kind of.
What are you?
English.
Ah! That's American.
It's one of the bits. Quick honorable mentions. I put the Mario movie on there. I thought it was okay. Even a lot of adults seemed to like it. I thought it was okay.
I felt entertained the entire time, but I definitely don't think he was a masterpiece. Like I was just enjoying myself thoroughly.
I'm just like, oh,
But
hey,
never
I get that
like-
reference. Oh, it's the
Yeah, but I was never like, oh, this is awesome. I was just like, this is fun. And it's over. And I never stopped thinking, hey, this is fun.
Then your daughter watched it 80,000 times.
Oh, she loves that movie. She hasn't watched it so much lately, but she still loves Mario now. She was like, it was brilliant. She just got a Switch for her birthday, and Nintendo's like got her pre-indoctrinated. It was fantastic marketing on their part.
Go. You guys got any honorable mentions?
A lot of my honorable mentions ended up on your list.
Yeah.
Gonna say.
Bueller. I can't even say that. That's why half the reason why I didn't say Bueller's Day Off.
I love Ferris Bueller's Day
What
Off.
do
That
you
movie's
what do you swap
great.
it out for?
That's why I swapped it out for the Batman.
Yeah, there it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I think it was easier to talk about. I'd have to rewatch it again. I hated it. I didn't like it. Maybe I'd like it now as an adult, but as a teenager, I was like, this kind of sucks.
I've not seen it.
I wasn't as crazy about it as a teenager. As an adult, I really, really liked it. Oh, Weekend at Bernie's.
I never watched that
I know
movie. It's
Weekend
just
at Barney's,
parading
though.
a just parading a dead guy.
Yeah, dude. Legitimately, they spent so much time on some bits, whereas like that movie could have been 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
And had to, like it wasn't good. It was
Yeah.
not good at all.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Now I will say, Weekend at Vader's is something else.
What?
It's so on Brandon Sanderson's podcast they do a bit every now and again. It's called like Bad Story Ideas. So they made up it's Vader, he's dead, and it's like other people controlling it. The whole Star Wars thing. There's like So it's Weekend at Vader's.
Interesting. Now I will say Jacob once pitched a movie to me that I thought was absolutely.
How many times has he done this? Is this like a common thing?
Yeah,
You know what
relatively.
circles Mike runs in. Very creative circles.
Everybody, yeah, all of my friends think they're creative geniuses, and realistically, none of us are.
One day he'll read my book.
But the pitch was, it was pre-2020, so it's the 2020 election. Trump is up for re-election, and the only man who can beat him is Bernie Sanders. But oh no, he died 3 months before the election. And his campaign aides need to like pretend to. They need a weekend, and so it was Weekend at Bernie's 3, Bernie Sanders.
Oh gosh.
That's
All right.
silly.
Well,
And I was like, I'd watch that movie.
I'm just now looking at the time. So I'd like to thank you for listening to this extra long podcast. Mike, what are we talking about next week?
Man, I've been trying to figure that out for the last like 3 picks. I really am enjoying the overrated thing, so let's keep it going if everyone's cool with that.
Yeah.
And go video games.
Okay.
I have fun talking smack.
All right. Tune in next week. We'll see. Probably gonna be a little shorter than this. I'll try to keep a rein on it, but it's about an hour longer than last week's episode, if that gives any perspective. So it balances out, to our normal regular scheduled program. But thank you all for listening to this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if we're wrong. Forrest Gump isn't a love story. Yeah, whatever. I get that. I misspoke, but the love aspect. Anyways, sorry. I'm making this worse. If you're watching, Lou left. If you're watching on Spotify, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review and leave a comment down. I know my wife is on the Spotify comments, and so I think it's Pokemon Trainer can't. Well, say hi, say what's up, let them know your overrated movies. But other than that, hope you guys have a great week, and welcome back, Lou. We'll catch you next time.
You effing know it, big dog.
See you guys.
See ya.